The sun moved deep over the hills, spreading golden and red shades over the crowded town. Among the noise and chaos, one person was standing out. Mr. Lee, also known as the ever-smiling man. His peaceful smile never faltered, even in the intense heat or flooding rain. Ryan, an explorer burdened by life's responsibilities, looked around to observe Mr. Lee. There was a strange peace of mind about him, as if whatever is happening of life couldn't affect him. Unable to resist, Ryan approached. "Excuse me, sir, but why are you always smiling? Don't you ever feel angry? Sad?" Mr. Lee looked up, his eyes warm and kind, as though he could see straight into Ryan's soul. "Ah, my friend, the better question is, why not smile?" Ryan frowned. "Because life is hard, because the world is unfair. How can you smile through all of it?" Mr. Lee chuckled softly. "You can spend a day with me, and then you will know how I always manage my smiling face. But it's not the world that needs changing, it's how we see it." Later, they started their day at the market. As they wove through the crowd, a merchant stumbled, tipping over a basket of ripe mangoes that splattered across Mr. Lee's freshly polished sandals. "Oh, I'm so sorry," the merchant stammered, his face pale with worry. Mr. Lee crouched down, picking up a mango and wiping it with his sleeve. "No need for apologies. These sandals needed some flavor anyway." His laugh was infectious, and soon the merchant joined in. Ryan, however, wasn't amused. "How can you just laugh that off? Those sandals were spotless." Mr. Lee turned to him, his smile fading just enough to show sincerity. "Tell me, Ryan, would anger make my sandals clean again? Life will always spill its mangoes. We can either curse the mess or enjoy the sweetness." Later, they passed a frail old farmer struggling to lift a sack of grain. Without a word, Mr. Lee rushed over, lifting the sack onto his shoulder. The farmer's face lit up with gratitude. "Bless you, son. I didn't know how I'd manage." Mr. Lee patted his shoulder. "We're all grains in the same sack, my friend. If we help each other, the weight feels lighter." As they walked away, Ryan shook his head. "You didn't have to do that. You could have ignored him." Mr. Lee smiled at him, but this time there was a hint of sadness in his eyes. "Ryan, when we ignore someone else's struggle, we miss a chance to lighten our own hearts. Joy isn't something you keep, it's something you give." By evening, black clouds had moved in, and an intense storm was bursting out. Mr. Lee and Ryan found protection, under a rickety bamboo roof, rain dropping through the gaps. "This is miserable," Ryan grumbled, his clothes soaked through. "How can you possibly smile now?" Mr. Lee leaned back, letting a drop of rain fall on his face. "This storm is life, my friend. Loud, cold, messy, but even storms end. And when they do, the air feels fresher, doesn't it?" Ryan scowled. "That's easy for you to say. What about when the storm takes everything? What then?" For the first time, Mr. Lee's smile wavered. He looked out at the rain, his voice softer. "Years ago, I lost my wife to a storm like this. I thought I'd never smile again, but then I realized something. Pain doesn't take, it teaches. Every drop of rain reminds me of her laugh, her spirit. I carry her with me, and that's why I smile." Ryan fell silent, the storm outside no longer seeming so fierce. As the storm cleared, the two sat under a starlit sky. Mr. Lee turned to Ryan, his eyes reflecting the stars above. "Tell me, Ryan, what are you grateful for?" "Grateful?" Ryan scoffed. "I've lost my job, my home, even my family hates me. What is there to be grateful for?" Mr. Lee picked up a small pebble and placed it in Ryan's hand. "This pebble may seem small and useless, but if you hold it tight, it becomes a reminder. Think of one thing, just one, you still have to be thankful for, even if it's just the breath in your lungs." Ryan stared at the pebble, tears welling in his eyes. "I'm grateful for this moment, for meeting you." Mr. Lee's smile returned, wider than ever. "There it is. Gratitude, my friend, is the key to happiness. It doesn't erase the pain, but it shows you the light in the dark. The next morning, Ryan prepared to leave, feeling lighter than he had in years. "Mr. Lee," he said, gripping the pebble tightly, "I don't know if I'll ever be as happy as you, but I'll try." Mr. Lee placed a hand on his shoulder. "Happiness isn't a destination, Ryan. It's a journey. Some days will be harder than others, but remember this: the world doesn't decide your smile, you do." As Ryan walked away, the pebble in his pocket felt heavier, but not with burden, with hope. Years had passed since Ryan had walked away from the town, his heart burdened by loss, disappointment, and an overwhelming sense of emptiness. He had journeyed far from the market where he first met Mr. Lee, and in the time since, the weight of life's hardships had only grown heavier. His parents had passed away from illness. His girlfriend had betrayed him with his most trusted friend, and his hope was somewhere in between. But in the depths of his despair, there was one thing that remained with him: Mr. Lee's smile. Despite everything that had gone wrong in his life, Mr. Lee's teachings, the simplicity, the kindness, the art of seeing the light in darkness, had stuck with him. Ryan had tried, in his own small ways, to embrace them, but it was difficult. There were days when the storm inside him raged too loudly to hear Mr. Lee's voice. And so, he found himself back in the town, standing before the familiar banyan tree where his journey had begun. The years hadn't been kind to him, but this tree, this place, had somehow remained unchanged. Under the banyan tree, the same group of children gathered, their eyes wide with wonder as Mr. Lee spoke to them. His presence was the same, serene, unwavering, as if time itself had no power over him. But today, something was different. Today, Ryan saw something he hadn't before: a weariness in Mr. Lee's eyes, a softness in his smile that spoke of unspoken burdens. The joy in his face was still there, but it was tempered with something deeper. Ryan hesitated. His heart ached with the questions that had piled up over the years. Why do some people live with such peace, while others, like him, struggle endlessly? "Mr. Lee," Ryan called out, his voice strained. Mr. Lee turned, a slow smile spreading across his face when he saw Ryan. "Ah, the traveler returns. Tell me, my friend, what brings you back?" Ryan stepped closer, his hands trembling. "I've tried, Mr. Lee. I've really tried to follow your teachings, to be grateful, to find joy. But the world, the storms keep coming. And I keep losing." Mr. Lee's eyes softened, and he motioned for the children to go play. They scattered, their laughter fading into the distance, leaving the two men alone beneath the shade of the tree. "I've lost so much," Ryan whispered, his voice cracking. "My parents, they're gone. My dreams are dust. And I'm so tired, Mr. Lee, so tired of pretending to smile, to be grateful. It's like everything I touch falls apart." Mr. Lee looked at him for a long time, his gaze gentle but piercing. "Tell me, Ryan," he asked softly, "what did you think happiness was?" Ryan wiped his eyes, trying to steady himself. "I thought it was something you find. Something perfect. Something untouched." Mr. Lee shook his head, his smile fading into something far more sincere. "Happiness is not something you find. It's something you build. It's not about avoiding pain or keeping everything perfect. It's about accepting the cracks, the broken parts, and choosing to fill them with love." Ryan's chest tightened. "I don't know how to do that anymore. I feel like I've lost myself." Mr. Lee stepped closer, his voice low but firm. "No, Ryan, you haven't lost yourself. You've just forgotten the truth that even in our deepest pain, we are whole. You are whole." Ryan stared at him, his eyes wide with disbelief. "I've tried to do what you said. I've tried to find one thing I'm grateful for every day, but it never feels enough." He paused, the frustration leaking into his voice. "So, Why do you still smile, Mr. Lee? What makes you different from the rest of us? Mr. Lee smiled, but this time it was not pleasant. He placed a hand on Ryan's shoulder, the weight of his years pressing into the moment. The smile you see on my face, Ryan, is not because my life has been without pain. It's because I learned to live with it, to accept it, to understand that no matter how hard it is, I'm still here. Ryan's breath hitched. But that doesn't make sense. How can you smile through everything? How can you be okay with all the loss, the suffering? Mr. Lee took a slow breath, looking up at the sky, the weight of his years catching up with him. Because, my friend, the storm never truly ends. It only changes form. There was a time when I lost everything too, my wife, my home, my dreams. I thought I would never smile again. Ryan's heart skipped. But you did. You found a way to smile. How? Mr. Lee's gaze met his, and for the first time, Ryan saw something in his eyes, something raw and real. Because I learned that happiness isn't about getting back what you've lost. It's about learning to appreciate what remains. The love, the moments, the small things that still make life worth living. A silence fell between them, thick and full of understanding. Mr. Lee reached into his pocket and pulled out a small pebble, just like the one he had given Ryan all those years ago. He placed it in Ryan's hand with a gentle smile. Ryan held the pebble tightly, tears welling up in his eyes. He felt the weight of it, the weight of all his pain, and the weight of something else, something new, something unexpected. He looked at Mr. Lee, his voice barely a whisper. But what if I'm too broken to change? What if I can't find joy again? Mr. Lee's smile was full of warmth. Then let your brokenness be part of your beauty. The cracks you carry aren't your weakness, they're your strength. It's in our brokenness that we find the true measure of ourselves. Mr. Lee beckoned him toward a quiet corner of the town, far from the laughter of children or the busy marketplace. They walked through narrow alleys, past old homes, and soon found themselves in front of a small, humble shelter. Inside, there was a man in a wheelchair, his hands shaking as he struggled to eat. His face was lined with age and hardship, but there was a quiet dignity in his eyes. "This is Abdul," Mr. Lee said softly. "He has no family, no one to care for him, but every day he finds something to smile about. His body is frail, but his heart is strong." Abdul looked up, his face lighting up as he saw Mr. Lee. "Ah, my friend Lee. And who's this?" he asked with a grin, his voice hoarse but warm. "This is Ryan," Mr. Lee introduced. "He's learning that happiness isn't about avoiding the storm. It's about finding peace in the midst of it." Abdul chuckled. "If I waited for the storm to end, I'd never smile. But I've learned that every day is a gift, even the bad days." Ryan shocked expressions, his heart heavy with the realization. Here was a man with nothing but a crumbling body and an empty home, yet his smile was a beacon of strength and grace. Ryan stood there, lost in his thoughts, his heart heavy with the weight of his own struggles. "I have a healthier body, more opportunities, and the ability to do so much more than that person who's facing physical limitations. So why do I still feel more sorrow than they do? They somehow find strength and joy even in the hardest of days. How do they do it?" His mind raced, and a deep ache settled in his chest. If they can smile through their pain, can't I find a way to rise above mine? If they can embrace the little victories in their day, why can't I do the same? A small glimmer of realization began to form. I've been so focused on what I don't have that I've forgotten to appreciate what I do have. Maybe it's time to shift my perspective. I have the power to choose my path, to use my strength to face my challenges, just as they do. It's not about what I've lost, but what I still have to give. It's time to embrace that, to find my peace, and to live with gratitude for every moment I still have. As they left, Mr. Lee turned to Ryan. "Do you see, Ryan? It's not the weight of our burdens that breaks us. It's how we choose to carry them. There's always something to be grateful for, even in the darkest of times." As they walked back to the banyan tree, Ryan felt a shift in his heart. The storm inside him still raged, but it was no longer all-consuming. There was a softness in his chest, a lightness that hadn't been there before. He glanced at Mr. Lee, his mind finally starting to make sense of the teachings that had seemed so elusive. "I see it now, Mr. Lee," Ryan said, his voice steady but filled with newfound understanding. "Happiness. It isn't about a perfect life. It's about choosing to see beauty even when everything feels broken. Choosing gratitude even when the world feels heavy." Mr. Lee turned to him, his gaze filled with a deep, knowing warmth. "Exactly, my friend. It's not the absence of pain that brings joy. It's the decision to let your heart stay open, to see light even in the darkest moments. When you choose gratitude, Ryan, you choose to fill your heart with light. And that's when true happiness begins." Ryan stood there, his heart swelling as he looked around. The people bustling with life, the trees standing tall against the sky, the simple beauty of the world in front of him. And for the first time in years, he smiled. It wasn't because the world had suddenly become perfect. No, it was something deeper. It was because in that moment, he chose to accept life as it was, with all its imperfections, and in doing so, he found peace.